Hello and welcome back to the Sorare Lounge. We are the Thursday Club and the tripod are in the house. Got Mumba to the right and Dornado to the left. How we doing, boys?
Good, mate. Good. Excited for the show. Excited to get going.
Yeah, together.
JD, I hear you have a big sporting event coming up soon.
I know what you're talking about. Is it the...
It is. I saw a little a rumor going around on Twitter and YouTube that you and our friend Royal Ivy might be having a matchup soon.
Mate, he's not my friend. He's dead to me. You've seen that? Absolutely foul-mouthed, abusive 60-second clip from him. I mean, I wouldn't expect anything less. He's clearly recorded that after having about 12 cans of Monster, because I know what he's like.
It's incredible.
The energy he's come to his head and he's just thought, I got to do this quickly because I love you.
I want to make it happen. I'm willing to somehow make this happen. Sorare Sevens have set the stage. I think we need now bring boxing. As I already mentioned to him, actually, both of us, neither of us would win because both of us would pull out before the fight injured because we're both massively injury-prone pansies. So, obviously, yeah. I'm sorry. I'm sorry about Juma in the lineup.
This is your official throwback to that Frankie and the other person's "F You Right Back" songs that they did back in the day, the classics. Reminds me of. For anyone that isn't aware, Play Sharper Everton expert Johnny Dorr was not such an expert this weekend, costing our friend Royal Ivy a prize, who made a video in anger. Go check out his YouTube. It's actually very funny. Definitely worth a watch.
Don't watch it with the kids. Don't watch it with the kids.
Don't watch it with the kids. He's thrown the gauntlet down, though. And ironically, the reason behind the beef is Everton.
Yeah.
Bloody Everton. And guess what today is?
Everton.
Today is toffee time. We are focusing. We're doing a deep dive. I cannot believe what I'm saying. I feel sick, in fact. We are doing a deep dive on Everton, right? The reason being, we're looking, will Everton take you to the podium this week? Everton have, I know, ridiculous. Everton have Luton this weekend. And if targeting fixtures is a thing, then surely this is Everton's week. Maybe. So Luton have become this year's whipping boys on Sorare, effectively, right? They have not put together a good performance this season, and they've lost against lower league opposition in the cup as well. They're fucked. But they do have Everton this weekend. So will this weekend be Everton time, toffee time, or will this just be another nail in Dornado's coffin? What do we think? What do we think? Come on, let's put it straight out there. And in fact, sorry, John, I'm going to go to Rick first for this one.
Okay.
Are Everton a shit football team?
In real life or on Sorare?
Both.
In real life. Apply to both.
In real life, they're a shit football team, which bring disappointment wherever they go. Surprisingly, on Sorare, though, some of their players do manage to put up, weirdly decent-looking score charts, considering they very rarely win or keep clean sheets. I cannot believe, actually, we're doing a deep dive into Everton. After all the ridicule we've done, somehow we've ended up at this point where they are the thing we're talking about. But you are right. Aiming at fixtures is a very important thing on Sorare, right? Playing the matchup and having the 20th place team at home in the Premier League as your fixture for the weekend makes you an enticing prospect. And unfortunately, they're on the back of a cup win and a league win, aren't they? So you could even say there's a bit of form there now, which, but
what is their level? Because it's easy to target fixtures with good teams, but we've seen Everton win this last weekend. It could be a turning point, as you said. The scores in general, actually, I would say, are better than what you would expect, right? But what is Everton's level? John, what is Everton's level?
Okay. I mean, the level right now is not a great level. It is a better level than we've been at for the last 3 seasons, or last 2 seasons, I should say. We are playing a lot better football this season than we have done the last 2 horrific relegation battle. Last half an hour of games it's come down to on the last day of the season, pretty much both seasons. But Dyche has brought some actual stability to our team. We've signed some good attacking players. We're not looking. We've had a couple of bad results this season, but actually, 2 of the games we lost at home. The first 2 home games this season, where we played Fulham at home first game, we had the highest expected goals without scoring in the last 5 years of the Premier League, which obviously doesn't show we're a good team. It just shows we're creating lots of chances. But that is a good step forward for us. We didn't score. We lost to a 90th minute winner from Fulham. We did the exact same thing against Wolves. We should have at least 4 more points than we currently have, and we're on 4 from 6. Going back historically, when you boys were growing up, when I was growing up, Everton started off being a very poor team when I first started supporting them in the late 90s. We just come off the back of winning the FA Cup, just about on the cusp of me remembering football in 1995. I thought, cheers, older brother. You've given me a really good team to support here. We've just won a cup. This is going to be great. And then the next 20 years have been absolutely horrific. However, for about 10 years span under David Moyes, we were considered the best of the rest. Can we agree that a little bit? We were sort of between 5th to 8th every season.
Kind of 6, 7, 8 kind of team. Yeah.
And that's obviously I want us to be winning stuff, but that was in the circumstances a good thing. Now, since we sacked Moyes, obviously I'm probably going back a bit far here, but since we sacked Moyes, we've gone from manager to manager. We've lost our identity. We've had a new billionaire owner come in who's completely got no idea about football and has just sprayed money left, right, and centre. We've bought some good players, but probably 1 in every 5 or 6 players we've bought or spent money on, have actually been a good player. I think we've overspent a lot on good players in the last 10 years, and it's really come back to bite us in the ass. We've been screwed by financial fair play the last sort of 18 months, not been able to make signings. We had to sell Richarlison to balance the books. We've had to sell Anthony Gordon to balance the books. It's been a really tricky 3 years supporting Everton, probably the worst 3 years of supporting Everton I've had as an adult. It's been awful. I shed a tear on relegation days, relegation battles the last 2 years. It's been really awful. But things are looking upwards, I'd say, this season. We've got a new stadium on the horizon that's 3/4 of the way to being finished. And I've forgotten what the actual question was because I've just been going off on a tangent.
Yeah, thanks for that snivel fest. That was absolutely glorious. Everyone watching your tiny violin, having a little cry.
I mean, we can all support Man United and be unhappy that we finished 30th here. What an awful season we've had. Imagine supporting
Nuremberg, mate.
Yeah, imagine supporting a team like Everton. It's been tough. It's been tough. But this season, we've won 2 games in a row this week. That is insane. I can't remember the last time we won 2 games in a row. Obviously, one of them was the League Cup. But genuinely, we didn't just win them. We completely dominated the games. We played far better than Brentford. I don't know if you've probably watched the highlights, but I watched the full game. We played them off the park.
I don't watch Everton, mate.
Yeah, you don't. I mean, you should do. You own about 19 of their players, mate. So maybe you should start watching them. But
so John, I do appreciate asking you what's at Everton's level. I do appreciate you talking through Everton's history about their previous successes, just in a bid to
and all their managers.
Well, look, what I'm saying.
They are.
What I'm saying the level is we should be in mid-table. We should be a mid-table team. Mid-table team. That's where we're at.
Okay.
I mean, if you will do an Everton show, mate, what are you going to expect? I mean, come on.
Mate, I know. I've opened the can.
Yeah,
so, right, mid-table team. Is that your prediction of the season?
I mean, I did a bold prediction at the start of the season.
This season as well, not the last 10 years. Mid-table?
I would say we'll finish 12th this season.
12th? That's a good season. Ricardo, are we agreeing or disagreeing?
Unfortunately, I'd love them to go down, but there's two insanely crap teams in the league, isn't there? So, I'm going to put them 14th.
Yeah, I think they're surviving. Unfortunately, I think they're surviving.
Unfortunately.
Probably about 16th. I think we're still going to get to enjoy a little bit more Tornado pain, suffering.
You've got it for life, boys. You've got it for life. I'm sorry.
Mate, it's a weird thing whereby every week we kind of laugh and prod you for it, and then every week our galleries get that little bit fatter full of Everton players. I don't know how you keep doing it. Like I started the show with asking if Rick if Everton are shit. Half my gallery is Everton.
Yeah, I know.
What's going on?
You own Jordan Pickford. You own a Jordan Pickford rare, mate, and I don't even own that, and I own 56 Everton cards.
I'm in a 5-year building plan. I'm waiting for Moyes to come back and change things back to top 6.
But no, in terms of fixtures, like Luton at home is probably about as good a fixture as you can hope for in the Premier League era. To be honest with you, I don't want to offend Luton too much, but I think they'll be the first to agree that them getting promotion was a literal miracle, and their club. Oh, I don't want to hurt people's feelings if they're watching this Luton fan, but their club isn't set up to be a Premier League team, in terms of their stadium and everything.
You know Ricky's from Luton, mate.
I know he is. I'm all for teams like Luton coming up. I think it's great, but I just think it's so difficult for them to attract players that are going to give them that quality to sort of stay up. But maybe they will. I mean, we've seen teams that come up in the past that haven't been particularly good teams that have stayed up just through the fact they're really good teams. Like they have good sort of team morale and stuff. Sheffield United, I know, did it a few years back, didn't they? I mean, they've been in the Premier League a few times, but yeah, Sheffield United have not looking great as well this season. But yeah, playing the fixtures, Everton Luton this week, I think is a good fixture. And you can pick up Everton players pretty cheaply, I think. We've also got Bournemouth at home the week after, which is, you could get a little double fixture bump up there in 2 weeks. But yeah,
if I was to throw out a different suggestion, you could say that West Ham at home to Sheffield United is a better fixture than
potentially
Everton at home to Luton, because Luton are off the back of their first point, right? Luton are actually 18th in the table. Sheffield United are actually bottom.
Mm-hmm.
So
and just lost their back.
Are off the back of a morale boosting point. Sheffield United have just been absolutely thumped. So is the key fixture to pick in the Premiership this week West Ham versus Sheffield United instead? Or, as what I've done in one of the Premier League competitions, managed to build an amalgamation of the two, a West Ham-Everton duo. Both clubs have a lot of cheap options, don't they? And you're able to put like a tasty 5 together from the pair of them as like a force together. So yeah, I'd arguably say West Ham is the better fixture on paper. But
I like that.
There's two absolute plum fixtures, and maybe Everton don't have Europe like West Ham, so maybe there's less rotation to think about. But both of them are really good fixtures this week.
I mean, I agree with you. If I wasn't an Everton supporter and I was just a football supporter, I would probably be doing a mixture of both, like you're doing. The only thing I would say of West Ham is that they have more options at each position than we do. Like in terms of rotation, you could get screwed by rotation, especially with Europe, you've mentioned. But I know I'm skating on thin ice with the fact I got one of my Everton play sharper predictions wrong on the weekend. But Everton's starting team is a lot easier to predict than West Ham's probably is, I would imagine. So it's just that slight more risk. I know you're obviously doing well in the Premier League monthly comp, aren't you, Rick? So you're very keen to not have a random DNP. So yeah, I'd say Everton just because the fixture, just because the starting team is a bit more, nailed. But
yeah, like you see there, I've gone for the Branthwaite, McNeil, Pickford, Antonio, Paqueta amalgamation of the two there against everything my soul believes in, and I'm pretty sure, there's 3 Everton in the rare one as well with a West Ham player. Unfortunately, I've got to play Neto. yeah. So yeah, just proving the point.
So whilst we're there as well, I think what people don't realise about Everton at the moment, especially with your 3 rare Everton players there, all 3 of those players are 22 years old or younger. Like we have quite a young team at the moment, and all of them are very good scorers. Those 3 in particular, like you can be a madman like me and buy like Michael Keane, Idrissa Gueye, who have got literal no sell-on value at all, because they're just going to retire at like 32 and stop playing football. But in terms of like actual players that have real good value, that actually score well, those 3 players up there you have there, Rick, are I think the future of Everton and will probably get sold on for quite high profits. Maybe not McNeil. McNeil might stay for a bit longer, but certainly Branthwaite is a very, very good defender. He reminds me of John Stones when we had him. He's basically
you almost said incredible, didn't you? When you had to pull that one back.
Maybe he's a really good player. Honestly, like if you watch him, like forget about the fact that you hate Everton because I love Everton. Like he's an extremely good player, Jared Branthwaite. You know, he was at PSV on loan last season. They're desperate to keep him. They're trying to make an offer for him in summer. They're trying to make an offer for him in January. I think they want to offer about 20 mil for him, which isn't enough. He's getting linked to Man United. Like he's a really good player.
What I like about players like him is like there's no danger of him going to Saudi, is there? You can't imagine Jared Branthwaite in Saudi. So therefore, the only risk attached to someone like that is him going to, let's say, United and not like a top. You could debate their top team right now, but a top team and then maybe not making it, e.g. Harry Maguire style. Although you could argue he did to a point.
And same with Onana. I was going to say Onana as well quickly as well. He's obviously a very good player and he's definitely going to get transferred somewhere else in a few years, I'd say.
I do rate him. Yeah. I do rate him. So one thing I always debate with like these targeting fixtures, and particularly this week of Everton, like you mentioned Everton players are quite good value. What I've noticed looking at it myself this week is obviously there's been a mad scramble for anyone. I think it's going to happen probably every game week for a while until they get good, if they get good, which probably not. Mad scramble for Everton players because they're playing Luton, particularly last minute. So I've noticed the prices are going up.
Yeah.
But obviously I think this is probably across the board. The new cards massively so. The old cards, people are still trying to get rid of them, which for me and probably you two as well, the old cards boost up our collection. So I'm chasing the old cards anyway, which is a good thing. But I do debate with these targeting fixtures. If actually, rather than targeting fixtures to play, you should target fixtures to sell, to flip. Like that's probably the safer,
Ricky does
it's the guaranteed way to make money, isn't it?
Well,
it's whether sorry, you go, Rick. You go.
You go, mate. You go.
I was just going to say it's whether you've got the willpower to do that. Because if I've ever bought someone that I think's got a really good fixture, I have to play them. Like I can't then sell them before that game happens because I worry they'll get 100 and be like quadruple the value. I know you, Rick, do a lot of fixture looking ahead, don't you, via your Sorare data subscription, and like you can really sort of plan ahead that who's going to be like a really good option that week. Not just Everton, all players all around the world. And I know you make a bit of money, don't you, on buying and selling just before?
When the pick scores come out soon.
And he's gone.
And he's just hitting himself.
He's obviously I think he's coming back. Anyway, John, you still there? Rick's there. Hello, mate.
What just happened? We all just went.
We've gone into an Everton metaverse. We got too deep.
Yes.
So yeah,
my favorite type of metaverse.
Carry on, mate.
As I was saying, as soon as the pick scores come out, I like to pick up 5 or 6 players, only about £30 worth, £40 worth, and then flip them near the deadline, try to make about £10 worth of profit. Makes me feel like I'm peeling back some of the losses for some of my rash actions, like just buying players to fill out special competitions and deadline players. But yeah, it's a tactic. And if the whole broad subject we're going around is, should you be targeting fixtures? The answer is yes, but you've got the time to plan ahead, right? It's loads easier if you're working 2, 3, 4 game weeks in advance. I know, for example, you did it with the Denmark squad, didn't you? If you're able to do that and pick up on these fixtures, you could go through the Premier League and go, who's playing the bottom 3 every week? So things like that. Planning ahead is a great great thing, but really, majority of Surrey's, who's got time for that? I'm out here buying players 3 minutes before a deadline. It's tough, but yeah, you can focus at least maybe 1 week ahead, or at least when a game week first opens up, get on and have a look at those fixtures, those pick scores. What should I be doing on? What can I get the jump on? Because you don't want to be doing it within like 24, 48 hours of the game week closing, because, the cheap prices would have been picked off by then.
Yeah, it depends on budget though, doesn't it? I listen to you there, because you want to play, right? You love play. Both of you do. Johnny doesn't sell, so he's got the team there, the squad depth to do it. You will buy to play that game week. If you can get a couple of extra players to do it, you will, and you've also got the squad depth to be able to trade in and out or sell in and out. Whereas smaller budgets, like mine's not the smallest, but I'm probably 10 times smaller than you, which is why I had to target those Denmark fixtures, because you go, okay, well, that's potentially a game week where I can compete. I can build a squad slowly over time, buying a player or two each month, and then I'll have just as much opportunity as Wales or Minnow Wales. What do we call you? What's your new whale name? Beluga whale, isn't it? Ricky Beluga.
Beluga.
That's
Yeah,
it. So
the smallest.
Small whale.
Yeah, very small whale. In our ecosystem, I'm a small whale, but in the grand scheme of Sorare, I am just a pin drop in the ocean.
But yeah, anyway, to the point, right? Targeting fixtures is a way to win, and then it's like, right, you either target to play or you target to sell. It's bloody hard. The reason why I took you to that point is because, and to the earlier point about being brainwashed about Everton, thought I'd share what I've been up to today. Look at this motherfucker.
Yes,
the last three purchases. What is going on? Like, I've been chasing him McNeil for ages to convince myself I needed him. You could have picked him up for like 140 at one point. I paid 179 for him just so he could play this game week. What is going on?
I mean, if we look at this as a purely football based, like, he is a very good scorer on Sorare. Like, he takes a lot of our set pieces, if not all of the set pieces. We are really good from set pieces. We score a lot of goals from set pieces. He also, if you actually watch him, he's actually a very good player. Like, he really is. He's only 21. That's not going to be a bad purchase. Like, moving forward, it's going to retain value. And I don't know if you want to show his scores on screen, but he's a good scorer. He really is a good scorer. I mean, I own
he's a weirdly good scorer.
Yeah. Shout out Simply Alex. He said he's the best forward on Sorare.
That's right. Yeah, we shared a little bit of back and forth on Twitter about how excited we were about Dwight McNeil. But yeah, I mean, Ricky, I think you own Dwight McNeil as well. Is that right?
Yeah, this is mine on screen. Best of just making you feel better. I planned 2 months ago in advance, and I also paid £170. So
good.
Whilst we're here, I'll tell you how much I paid. I paid, it doesn't say, but I think mine was about £160 if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, I mean, he's a very, very good scorer. Scores well. And I own 4 of his limiteds and 1 of his rare. So let's hope he continues this weekend.
He is a good example, though, of a player who is better on Sorare than in real life, isn't he? Like, he's all right in real life, and he's like, he appears anyway to have a really high work rate, which I think probably makes the difference. I don't know. Is that why he scores so well versus his actual ability? I
mean, you're asking the wrong person probably. Like, I really rate him. Like, I think he's a really good player, and I think there's obviously worse examples of people not being very good players but are good scorers on Sorare, or best examples, whichever way you look around at it. But like, he's a good footballer. When we first signed him, he started off pretty slow, but he came into like an awful Everton team, like way more awful than we are now. And he's young, and he was expected to sort of hit the ground running. We were awful, couldn't score, but like, especially the last half of last season and start of this season, he started injured. But he's been one of our key players, if not our key player.
Well, according to Sorare data, he's the best player. And the total Everton starting 11 for 0.08 in limited. Second best SO5 average for McNeil. Top net decisive actions, all round average and top SO5 average is Branthwaite for both.
Very good player. Very good AA, Jared Branthwaite.
Who's better, Branthwaite or Tark?
I mean, they're sort of the apprentice and the master. To be honest with you, those two. Tark is a proper old school defender. Like, he's been around a while now. I think he's only 30, so he's not that old. Like, I consider him as an old footballer, and he's flipping like way younger than all three of us. But but like, he's an old school footballer. Likes the aerial game, likes the physical game. Loves a clearance off the line and a last man tackle. Absolutely loves them. Like, he constantly is clearing the ball behind Pickford. Like, goes up behind Pickford. It's great.
I'm not surprised.
And obviously, last weekend he got a goal and assist, which always helps. But yeah, Jared Branthwaite's definitely, as I said earlier, more of a John Stones type. Like, he's really good on the ball. He's also like 6'8", so he's incredibly good at, the headers and whatever and aerial game. But yeah, Branthwaite's definitely a lot more of a, ball to feet type of defender.
So what you're saying is I should go away after this and buy a Jared Branthwaite?
I mean, I would have bought a Jared Branthwaite if he had an Everton rare card from last season, but obviously he was at PSV last season. And I don't want to start collecting the rare Everton cards from this season because I literally don't have the money. And I just don't want to even start it because then I'll just continue it. But yeah, I mean, we've got other good young players. We've got James Garner. I know I've mentioned him to you before, Ricky. I think you own a rare James Garner, but he's been really good this start of the season. The last couple of games he's really come into his own. Obviously, I didn't predict him to start on the weekend, even though in my head I wanted him to start. Like, Sean Dyche likes to sort of stick with what he has in the previous game, so that's why Dan Juma I thought might start. But he came in, he was quality, got an assist against Brentford. He scored in midweek against Aston Villa when we won yesterday. I think he's almost like a shoo-in now, to be honest with you. Like, he's looked so good in these two games. And then,
mate, more importantly, how is the fashionista DCL Dominic Calvert-Lewin getting on? I asked this specifically as a loaded question because I'm expecting him to lead my team to glory this week. That's what we're saying.
Are you genuinely starting a full Everton team? I mean,
yeah, I am stacking the shit out of Everton.
It's so beautiful. I love that so much. So I can't even do that. I don't have a Pickford because I just don't have the money. But yeah, I mean, Calvert-Lewin, I think is probably going to start this weekend. It's a tough call. I've put him down as favourite to start over Beto. I think I put 65-35 on Play Sharper. It's a tough one to call. Obviously, we won last weekend and Beto started, so you'd think that they would keep the same team. But Calvert-Lewin came on, scored, started in midweek, scored again, is fully fit, and he loves his fashion sense as well, as you mentioned. He's a stylish guy. He's a good-looking chap, isn't he? You got to give him that. But I don't know. I think he'll start on the weekend, to be honest with you. I think that team makes me incredibly aroused, Jesse. I'm very proud of him. I'm very, very proud.
I mean, it's all for you, John. It wouldn't be there otherwise.
Imagine if you won the whole thing. Like, imagine if you win Champion Europe or whatever you enter that into. Cap 270.
If I win the whole thing, I'm buying an Everton shirt. I will. Genuinely.
I mean, if we can bring it back to so rare for a moment, I think
absolutely not. No, let's not do that.
I think when you pick these like teams like Everton or West Ham, for example, with good fixtures this week, they can be really useful in like the cap competitions or the specials, for example. Are people really going to be lining them up in like All-Star when you've got free reign of anyone, anywhere? No, but they can give you a really good edge in like a 220, a 240, a 270, or like these Premier League specials. All right, have to have Premier League cards, less target, say, less sexy players that play for Everton and West Ham, but going to be really useful in this like short form tournament when they've got such a good fixture. And those players, Everton aren't going out, and West Ham, for example, aren't going out smashing teams every week. Their L15s are never going to be like 81. So they are really good for cap teams when they've got good fixtures. So yeah, things like that, really useful. You could probably fit them into like a 270 team or things like that. So yeah, I think that's when you can really make good use of fixtures.
So do you know why I'm not going to win this week? To your point a minute ago, John. And this is thinking about tactics.
Because you backed Everton. I mean, I know we're
No,
very.
honestly, if Everton smash this week, if Everton win 4-0, and that team performs really well, I will not win, and that's because I don't own the new cards, and the new cards get that extra 5% bonus. Like I genuinely think these are the kind of weeks where suddenly the collection bonus comes up trumps, which is why, to a point, why I've been adding to Everton as well, because it's like, well, actually they're not cheap. They're a fairly affordable collection you can keep building for these kind of fixtures. So I'm hopeful of like doing well with this team. That's why I've bought McNeil in. But I think those that have been like targeting collections or buying new cards for these specific game weeks will be the ones that win, just because they've got that bonus. Which is, now what I can do about it. But again, depends what level you're playing at, right? Because if you're playing to win, then you've got to be doing that. I'm playing just to nick cards or get ETH. So for me, that's good enough.
What's your collection bonus for Everton Rares? It must be pretty decent, isn't it?
Only 2% at the minute. I find it's easy to get the 2, and then it's really hard to get higher.
Let's look at I've just got the leaderboard on screen. I've not seen where I'm currently 7th. You must be.
I'm nowhere near you.
Oh, you're 16th though. You're in the top 20 of Everton rare collectors in the world. That is impressive.
What a fan.
But yeah, I mean, back to your original point. I think the reason that you won't win this weekend is actually because Everton will lose this weekend 1-0 at home. Like we will. We do it all the time. So an interesting stat. I remember hearing this stat before. It was actually before we beat Bournemouth on the last day of last season to stay up. Bournemouth were technically a promoted team last season, and we hadn't won against a promoted team in their first season after being promoted in 15 games in Premier League, home or away. Before that game, obviously we beat Bournemouth, but we have a really bad record against promoted teams. We actually have much better records against the better teams. Like we've had a decent record against Arsenal. I know we lost a couple weeks ago, but we've beaten them like 4 of the last 5 games or something at home. Arsenal, we've decent record against, I think, Chelsea and United at home in the last sort of few years, but yeah, no.
So basically, you're popping my balloon, mate, and telling me
I'm not popping your balloon.
I need to quickly sell these boys.
I'm trying to give you some perspective on being an Everton fan. We lose games we should win all the time. Like we've already done it twice this season, but I do think that Luton are almost. They're going to end up doing us over now after saying all this. But
no.
They got a good draw last week.
I do think Luton. I mean, did they get a good draw? They played like 75 minutes against 10 men and just about managed to scrape a draw due to the dodgiest penalty I've ever seen.
They did lose to Exeter in midweek as well.
Yeah,
so.
that's really bad. I mean, yeah.
I mean, we're talking about all of people having faith in the fixtures, but the system has faith. Well, he just disappeared. So I carry on.
What's just happened?
And we're back. No
Jesse
idea.
Came back and then booted us all off screen.
I did nothing of the sort.
So also, the prediction model also likes the look of fixtures. James Ward-Prowse is the 6th best pick on the whole of Sorare for this weekend at home to Sheffield United. And Tarkowski is down here in 14th, I think. 14th best player. So opened the week as the 9th best player. Slid down slightly, but, home to Luton puts it above some really, really big names.
Where's McNeil?
So, yeah. Bruno Fernandes. Tarkowski's a better pick.
Wow. I couldn't decide between McNeil or Tark as my captain. I feel like both are going to Luton feels like an aggressive old school battling game where Morris is going to be all over Tark, but Tark's going to dominate him and get lots of duels. And
I would say if I was to advise you, I'd say go McNeil, because if Tarkowski scores, it's going to be a McNeil assist, and if anyone else scores from a corner, it's going to be a McNeil assist. So you're hedging your bets more if you pick McNeil. And However, I do love Tarkowski. I've just bought a rare of him myself this week. But yeah, I mean, it's good fixtures. As you said, Rick, you've tried to get West Ham into this Everton show as much as you physically can. But West Ham are also have a good fixture. I'll give you that. But yeah, definitely look ahead to fixtures, I would say. You know, you did really well recently, Jesse, with your Denmark stack. I know you won a couple of prizes with them. But yeah, I think especially the international weeks actually are very good fixtures to target. But yeah, Everton.
So JD, do you want to run us through, just to finish off on the Everton segment, do you want to run us through the Everton team, maybe give us an idea of who you'd be picking maybe this game week if you had your 5, but also just generally players that you think maybe moving forwards would be worth considering as part of your gallery?
Certainly. So I've got up on screen here last week's emphatic win against Brentford. Brentford hadn't lost at home in 18 games, I'd like to point out, or something stupid, and we beat them. Anyway, so looking here, you know, this pretty much is how it goes every game, I'd say. McNeil is not only very good with decisives, but his AA is strong as well. You're looking at about 20 points AA there. Anana with no decisive also has very strong AA. You're looking at about 25 AA there. James Garner got an assist, but also has strong AA at the moment. Tarkowski got a goal and an assist really well. Branthwaite, last man tackle. Decore tends to be someone that only gets decisives and gets negative AA because he's kind of one of those players that tries to do stuff, so he gives the ball away a lot. But yeah, in terms of an entire team, I think we've got a lot of good AA players. In terms of my teams for this weekend, let's go down to the Premier League Pro. So Premier League Pro is, you know, you've all entered it before. You can select a common keeper and 4 limited cards. I've never done that. I always just put 5 limited Everton players in because I want that extra bonus on top due to having a very large Everton collection. So I'm going to go for Pickford, obviously, in goal. I know you like to rinse him about his small T-Rex arms, which he doesn't have, but he is a extremely good goalkeeper and clearly the best English goalkeeper by far. Can we agree on that, or are we not going to agree on it? Just never going to agree.
We're not going to agree on that. No.
I'm not sure.
Who's better than him? So you were saying Ramsdale for most of the time, but now he's lost his place. Are you still saying Ramsdale, or?
I reckon I am, for one.
Yeah, I don't, mate. Not after your performance on Tuesday, I don't know.
Do you know, I'm just not confident on any England keeper, if I'm honest. I just don't think there's not choice there. So maybe he is, but he's not England keeper because he's a good keeper. He's keeper because he's the best of a bad bunch.
You know, I'm not going to go.
I play Nick Pope would be my choice.
Oh, you've changed that now, have you, from flipping Ramsdale? I see.
In the space of a year, yes, I have changed my opinion.
Well, Pope looks like he can't kick a ball when he's got a ball at his feet. He shits his pants every time he gets it. But yeah, Pickford's really good. And I'm not going to be deluded and say that you know, he's the best keeper in the Prem, because there's plenty of better keepers than him in the Prem. But
what he is though is he's good value at cap space, and he's an England starter. So think forward for Euros, etc., etc. That's why I own him. I don't own him because I think he's good. I own him because I think he's got good utility.
Like, all jokes aside, like he is good cap space. I mean, you look at his scores here. I mean, I like low caps when they've got the potential of scoring high caps, which I do think he does have. However, Everton are not keeping many clean sheets at the moment, which isn't good for obviously a goalkeeper. But yeah, he's a good player. Anyway, Tarkowski, he's in. He's getting in. So my Premier League Pro team, I like to include all the players of my last season card. So I probably would, you know, with having Branthwaite in here instead of Tarkowski potentially. But as he's not part of my Everton collection with the Everton collection bonus, I tend to leave him and put him in under 23s somewhere else. And also, I never like to start 2 defenders in any SA5 teams if I can avoid it. Just because if a defender doesn't start, it's very unlikely a defender comes on as a sub, usually in football, generally, unless there's an injury or unless they're winning the game and need to hold out. So I always like to try and start 2 midfielders and 2 forwards. So midfielder-wise, we're looking at my boy, Abdoulaye Doucouré. And then we got one of my many, many Dwight McNeils. Which one should I put in? So the highest value one is this one, highest percentage one. And then, yeah, who did I have earlier? I already deleted this team. And then, it's James Garner. That's what I've got in. James Garner is a nailed starter for us, I'd say, this weekend. And that is for you, Royal Ivy. He is going to definitely start the game. He does take free kicks as well as Dwight McNeil, you see. So he's got that sort of double whammy decisive action potential. And I do think we may score more than 2 goals against Luton, which is pretty out there for us. We don't really score many goals, but yeah, there's my team. Unfortunately, a lot of these powers have gone down now due to the new cars. These were sitting at like 15% power last season, which is why I was actually doing pretty well in terms of winning prizes with this Everton stack. It was insane. But yeah, another good thing about owning teams like Everton, or it doesn't have to be completely Everton, but is if you do own stacks of, say, like Bournemouth or maybe not West Ham because of Europe, but like who else we've got? Can't think of any other sort of mid Premier League teams, but any sort of stack which not many people own, is that if they do well, you're likely to be one of the only people that's used that stack. So when Everton do well, I tend to do really, really well in Premier League Pro because no one else has done it, which is always nice. There's no one mad enough. What?
Said do.
Anyway, Captain Dwight McNeil. I mean,
what I like about that, mate, is that should it be a reassurance that the Everton So Rare expert, Play Sharper expert, has picked the same team as I have, bar Garner for DCL. I'll take that.
I mean,
I'll take that.
DCL is it could be better. So, but you've not got another option, have you? So DCL, I think, is a good option. And he scored off the bench last game, so if he does come on, he should do well.
I mean, I could just buy Garner tonight and go all in.
I mean, I bought one last night, so yeah, he could do.
We could buy an Anthony Gordon and have a decent player.
Oh, don't do that. I mean, I've got 55 Everton players to fit in my team, so I won't bore you to death with all them. But
no, mate, I want 2 more players, right, John? I want one who is like a bit of a gem who will get better. So might not necessarily be great now, but who you think is going to like grow with potential, or who is worth stashing away. And I want one other player who, if Dyche gets the sack, suddenly things change, and that can be the player that's doing pretty well now that won't do so well, or a player who is either not playing or not doing well that will do better when Dyche goes. Go.
Wow. Good question. Okay, so a player, I think. What was the first question wording exactly? It was a player.
Give me like a bit of a gem, like someone with growth in them who's probably a bit younger coming through, but on So Rare. Fine.
So I'm going to mention Nathan Patterson in this first category. You probably don't know a huge amount about him, but he is sort of burst on the scene a little bit with Rangers and Scotland a couple of years ago now. He's only 21 years old. I'll just share my screen, actually. Apologies. Really, really good attacking fullback. He's had his defensive frailties a little bit for us, and in general, I still think he's got a bit to learn in terms of defending. He's kind of lost his place to the old man Ashley Young at the moment. But I do think he shows real capabilities to be the sort of next Seamus Coleman. Like when Seamus Coleman came on the scene, he was bombing forward all the time and was a little bit weaker at the back. And he's sort of developed his game over the last 100 years he's played. But yeah, Patterson is definitely showing that he can do that as well. Obviously, I watch all of Everton's training videos, everything all the time. Like he scores some absolute bangers in training. I'm telling you now, he's a very good player. He's always makes the Scotland international squad, so you've got that bit of international utility as well. He's still only, I think, 21, 22. He got an assist a couple of games ago. Didn't play against Brentford, but I think he's likely to play this weekend because Mikalenko's injured. So Ashley Young will probably go to left back. But in terms of, moving forward, I do see a pretty good future for him. I think he's going to do well for Everton, get the Scotland number one, starting right back job. But yeah, I think he's a good player for sure, definitely.
He's value as well, isn't he? He's not too much money.
His value. You're looking at what, £2 for his limited, and what, like, I'm assuming that's not his rare, like 30 quid for his rare. So yeah, really good value for him, I think, at the moment. In terms of that second question is interesting. So obviously Dyche has got his boys like Tarkowski and McNeil, right? So they came over with him. You know, I love them both, and I really think they're good. You know, I'd be interested to see what would happen necessarily if Dyche gets sacked. He's not going to get sacked, like not a chance. But, you know, if someone did come in that didn't have that sort of Burnley sort of like knew about them, maybe it wouldn't go so well. In terms of like players that aren't playing currently under Dyche that might come good under another manager, there really isn't that. Our squad is so small at the moment that really there isn't anyone we're not using at the moment or has been phased out. Andre Gomez, we still own Andre Gomez, if you remember him.
I thought he was good when he first came about.
When he first came on the scene, he was an absolute Rolls Royce of a player. I was genuinely like, he's the next Mikel Arteta, an actual like really good on the ball, like playmaker midfielder. He snapped his leg, I don't know if you remember, against Tottenham. And he's just not been the same since. He got loaned out to Lille last season, did well. I think they wanted to keep him, but I think his wages are just quite high, obviously, coming from Premier League to League One. But
so it sounds like a good one, good potential one though for
potentially
if he was to move on.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, he got linked. He's actually been linked with a few Turkish teams in the last few weeks before their window closed. He's stayed. He's a bit injured at the moment, but I'd be interested to see how he goes moving forward. I can kind of see potentially he could come back in and do a job for us as a cover. I don't know, but yeah, who knows? Who knows? I don't think Dyche's going to get sacked, to be honest, mate. So that's it.
It was slightly loaded, that question, because when I picked up McNeil at his price, because I think he's very good on Sorare right now because of his responsibilities, and you know, Dyche loves him, doesn't he? But like in the back of my head is like, if Everton go on a shit of a run and Dyche gets sacked, McNeil could suddenly find himself out of like that star role for them, or you know, big responsibilities role, and then suddenly he's not. There's no way you're telling me McNeil is worth his price if he's not getting that time from a manager.
I think, like, I mean, probably all teams say this, but like, if you don't have the Everton fans as a manager, then you're fucked from the start. It was like Benitez; like he did not have the fans. It didn't matter what he did; it was pointless. If a new manager came in and didn't start Dwight McNeil, there'd be an uproar. I'm telling you now, because Everton fans freaking love Dwight McNeil. Like, you make me feel Dwight McNeil. Like, people absolutely love him. I don't think he'd get dropped, to be honest with you. And he's, like I said, he's actually on the eye. If you're looking, if not being an Everton fan, watching Everton, like, he's a good footballer. Like, he genuinely is.
That's what I want to hear after I purchased him. Thank you.
No worries.
Ricky T. And wary on time. We've still got plugs and prizes. The mic is over to you.
Sorry, I was just busy loathing myself as I realised I've been on a podcast talking about Everton for 50 minutes. But there you go. I won't complain if they do the business this weekend. So we want to talk Beat the Boys League, right? For those that don't no, we have our private league every week. Everyone that finishes above us goes in a draw for a prize, and at the end of the month, everyone top 5, top 6, I think it is top 6 get a prize as well. We're running 6 game weeks of Premier League this time in season 6, and we have just had week 2 of the competition. I believe I was the highest finisher of all 3 of us this week on 95th out of 164.
Bad week for the boys. Bad week for the boys.
Bad week. Saka was for me as captain. Sanchez did well in goal. Holland, plugging out his usual 60 odd with decisive. Højlund and Chilwell were crap. But that means there was 94 of you above us in the league. So you will all go into a draw, which we'll put on Twitter tomorrow. And one of you will win a Premier League card, which is a new season. Connor Roberts from Burnley is playing every game. And that card is this week's prize. So one of you will win that. Let's have a quick look at the top three. Bandy 9994, Madison, Gvardiol, Haaland, Saka, and Martinez. Happy Gamer came in a second. Anana Trippier with that magic 100. Madison, Haaland, and Matoma. Bad captain choice costing you sort of there, but 4-6-2, a massive score by Baldo, B4LDO, Sobozoy, Pope, Trippier, Slayer, and Foden. So that was the top three this week, leaving the overall standings. I'm in at 86th. Baldo is top on 830. A nice little lead there with 4 game weeks to go. Bandy down there in 5th, who's in our top 3 as well this week. Simply Alex in at 17. Shout out to a famous content creator. And I can't. Jesse, Swiss Mafia 36 is the highest.
Hanging in there.
Mate, you're flying. This is uncharted territory for you, mate. You're usually the mocking Jay of the whole show here, being 3rd place every week. But
different season, mate. Paying attention this season.
Mate, I'm 130th out of 164 at the moment, and I finished 155th out of 160 in the week just gone. It was so bad, so bad. Anyway,
time to go draft some West Ham players, I reckon.
Yeah, I need to get some Everton in, clearly.
I've actually put 2 Everton in this week. I think I put in Pickford and Branthwaite to cover injuries to Chilwell and someone else. Here's a code on screen. We close after 1/3 of the tournament is through, which will be this. As soon as this game week closes, entries for it close. So it's his last chance to get in. And apart from that, I do have some prizes for a change that I have left saved up. So here's the blue band of sex. We got some money and some coins, but I thought I'd do some live openings for a bit of excitement. It's a tier 5 limited from Champion America. Defender. Obviously. And I will be giving this away tomorrow on our Twitter. So you can see that in our Twitter accounts in the description below. I'll be giving him away to someone tomorrow. The 23. Usually means he's worth more than 40p. So that could be quite nice for someone. Check out our Twitters. We'll be giving away. And I think there's some other competitions going on from the boys this weekend as well. Maybe something Ryder Cup themed. So there should be some decent chances to win some prizes from us this weekend. So check that out.
53p.
53p. One of you will get that 53p added to your portfolio. Tier 3 rare. Cat 240 rare. Nice things in this pool.
This could be nice. This could be really nice. Come on, baby.
Tarkovsky. I think Dwight McNeil's in here, actually.
Oh, wow.
I think Dwight McNeil's in this.
Imagine.
Let's have a look. Cat 240. Oh, forward.
Isaac. Oh, no. Oh, I thought it was going to be Isaac then.
I used to own Hergotta. I think he's actually a decent scorer, but I don't think his price really holds up that much.
£164.
I take it back.
I don't know a lot about him.
I thought he'd be a good reward because I saw that 28th got Brennan Johnson, who's worth like £105.
There you go.
So
the scores,
yeah,
decent.
Not bad. Not bad at all.
I did think 10 spots above Brennan Johnson might be slightly better than that, but
you're giving that one away this week, aren't you? Yeah.
No, I run a Division 2 team, so that could be useful to replace Lewis Dion, a Bristol City legend. And then finally, Tier 2 limited for coming 99th in Cat 270.
Mate, go on your screen. It's not on your screen.
Oh,
just building the drama, mate.
Oi!
McGregor. That's actually a decent pool.
Yeah, it is a decent pool.
Callum McGregor. There we go.
That's actually decent. Always nice when a Celtic nailed player. He's worth 16 quid. Which is pretty good for. Oh, mate, his scores are tasty.
Yeah, he's a good player.
There you go. Very nice.
Considering
Very nice.
Yeah, because the tier 2 I won last week was worth £5, and I had to actually get an official swap out the way. I got my first ever official swap because he had a broken ankle, and instead I got a player worth £6. So yeah, that was worth all the effort. But yeah, that's my prizes. Beat the Boys League, enter it, come beat us, enter bugs.
Love it.
Boom. Mic drop. Thank you very much, boys. That is a wrap for us this week. We will see you all again next week. For now, up the Thursday Club.
Up
Leave the Thursday Club.
Please. Let's go.